All right, so next up is our first demo for today. We're going to be talking about what ERC-6551 is. And a lot of it is around how do we extend what's possible with NFTs, what is actually going on with how you can extend the better things that we wanted to see for how NFTs become more and more usable, and overall, how do we actually introduce the concept of different ways to think about ownership. And to talk about that, I want to bring on Benny from Future Primitive. He's going to be talking about the standard as one of the authors, and he'll start off with a demo, and then we'll do a short Q&A to talk about effectively what you can do with 6551. So please join me in welcoming Benny to the stage.
Right. Okay. Hello, everyone. Well, my name is Benny. Excited to be here. Flew in from Vancouver, arrived at 5:30 a.m., and then now we're here. So excited to see everyone. This phone number, definitely give it a call. Not right now, but after. You should leave us a really cool voicemail. We're gonna make like a song of all the voice messages. We already have like 12 of them. So Kartik showed this photo earlier on. If you zoom in, that is me in this exact corner 6 years ago. We got some new version 2s of the tie-dyes. So we have our team members here, Jaden and Raymond. So yeah, I was part of the team that launched CryptoKitties here 6 years ago. And then we formed Dapper Labs and then worked on Cheese Wizards, worked on NBA Top Shot. And then I left Dapper Labs and formed Future Primitive. It's an on-chain product studio that's built startups, projects, primitives for decentralized communities. So why am I here? Why am I speaking to you guys? So what do we do? Well, we gave every NFT its own account/wallet. This happened, I think, about a month ago. Everyone just woke up and the world changed. So that's, we call this token-bound accounts or TBAs. And literally every single NFT from CryptoKitties all the way to Azukis to wrapped CryptoPunks to your next NFT that you're going to launch, it's going to have a token-bound account. So why is this cool? Well, it gives NFTs 3 new properties that we think are really awesome. One is asset ownership. Second is social identity. And third is action potential. So asset ownership, this is very simple. Right now, NFTs are static. They can't own anything. They just sit inside of your EOA or your safe multi-sig. But with token-bound accounts, your NFT can now own ETH, USDC, 20, 721, 1155, any other token that will be created in the future. Social identity. So now your NFTs can now connect to dApps. You can sign transactions with your NFTs. You can execute transactions with your NFTs. That's a photo there of you connecting as your Azuki to Uniswap. So that means your NFT can be a signer on a multi-sig. Your NFT can vote on proposals. Your NFT can create its own transaction history. Action potential. So this is an imagination of combining all 3 layers of the stack, NFTs plus token-bound accounts plus LLMs. So what that ends up, where we kind of imagine this is that your NFT can very soon perform on-chain actions all by itself. Your NFT can generate personalities based on its metadata descriptions. And we have this kind of word that we call NPCs, or networked playable characters, that your NFT can now engage in this digital world and operate on the blockchain. So why does this all matter? Well, we're here to make NFTs more non-fungible. For the last 6 years, NFTs leaders there from Dapper, like NFTs came and introduced this whole new world that JPEGs can be bought, sold, trade. There's provenance, but now we're here to actually create more layers to the NFTs and make it more non-fungible. Number 2 is we want to maximize functionality while minimizing speculation. So we started with the JPEGs, view, share, like, and then we went to NFTs where you could buy, sell, trade. And we think the next evolution, starting now, is you could become your NFT, you could use your NFT, you could interact with it. The other thing, the reason why we're here is that you've probably heard of a thing called the metaverse or the autonomous worlds. one of the biggest problems is that they're very empty. They're like ghost towns. So we have this imagination that we can populate the empty worlds with these NPCs. I'm going to quickly scan over this because we have a demo that we're going to show you, but the in-depth explainer is like, as a builder, you have many choices to make. You either launch a standard 721 and then you add custom contracts, or you customize the 721 contract or use 998, and then later on you have to deal with platform support. So for us, we think that you could right now launch any 721, any 1155, automatically has a token bound account 6551. And then later down the road, you could use extensions. So some of the design criteria of 6551, over the last 6 years, we've seen different variations, different takes on this, but none of them actually fit all 5. So it works if all existing NFTs can hold all types of assets, no wrapping involved, works if existing platforms, and it's fully decentralized. The NFT owns everything that's inside of its token-bound account. We don't have to get into this, but there's a whole decentralized registry. It's EVM-compatible, and it works with every NFT. And it's also multi-chain. So if you have an NFT on ETH mainnet, let's say it's 0x123, that address is carried across. And token-bound accounts are deployed on Polygon, Optimism, Arbitrum, and Gnosis chain. So that was kind of a really, really quick blast. If you want to check it out, we have the docs.tokenbound.org. We have a workshop that Jaden's going to lead this Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. It's in workshop room 3. We also have prizes. So if you look at it, we have best use case of ERC-6551. If you want to build some NPCs, use some OpenAI APIs, that would be super cool. Infrastructure, on-chain media, interactive design visualizations for those who are more front-end and design-focused. And we'll have, you'll see later this week, we have these Pokemon cards that we'll be handing out. So if you're lucky to get one, they will have a link to this website, there will be a very, very, very cool surprise that we have in store. So most of you all already got your kitties. If you haven't, you will. You will need those for this surprise. Cool. So I'm here to do the demo now. So meet Pinefresh Breeder. It's a CryptoKitty. It's going to be the first NPC that you're going to see operate. It's powered by Tribes. Shout out to the Tribes team. Hish and his team put this together. So I'm going to show you the demo. Cool. So we are on the website welovekitties.xyz. I already connected my wallet. This is pretty typical. So what I'm going to do right now is switch identities. Because every NFT has a token-bound account, I could assume the identity of an NFT. So I've just assumed the identity of Quentin, which is my NFT that I own, and automatically I'm invited to the gated chat with all the other kitties. So it's NFT to NFT chat. But what I'm more interested is interacting with the NPC. As you probably see from the chat history, I've already played around with it, so we're going to give it a go here. So I'm going to talk to it. I'm going to play a game. So this is using OpenAI API. And so you give me a riddle. I have to guess it. Spots on my fur. What's that? Leopard? Uh-oh. Oh. I'm nervous. Okay. All right. What you're seeing here is the NPC is committing an on-chain action, and it's sending me an NFT. And so momentarily, this NFT is going inside of my CryptoKitties token-bound accounts. So it's not going inside of my MetaMask, it's going inside of my Quentin's account. So further proof of that is, if you look in tokenbound.org, you connect your wallet. This links to Quentin, and you saw that just popped in. This is the NFT. And this is the NFT that is a photo of actually the haul in 2017 when we launched CryptoKitties. And if you verify here, you'll see that I just got dropped this NFT inside of the token-bound account of the kitty. So what we just witnessed here is a kitty talking to a kitty, and then the kitty automatically performed an on-chain action. So NPCs are gonna be a very big thing. So I think that was pretty much it for the demo. And then me and Kartik, I think Kartik has a few questions about this. So yeah, thank you so much for. Hope the demo went smoothly. So I'm very glad. Yeah.
Awesome. We're gonna do an amazing follow-up to that badass demo. This is first of all, this is the first time you've done a live demo like this. This is great. Nothing went wrong, and it was. I mean, this is a groundbreaking concept. NPCs in general, but what I want to do is kind of dig a bit deeper into some of the things that you brought up. So the first one is, well, what originally inspired CryptoKitties for the hackathon, and what was the idea, and what did it end up being at the end of the day?
Yeah, I think at that time there was so many projects that were ICOs, and I think Dieter and the rest of the team at Axiom Zen, we were like, why is it all about white papers and speculation and like why can't it be like about art? And CryptoPunks came out earlier, and we were like, that's kind of cool, but you can't really do anything with it. Like you could only buy, sell, trade. What if we had some more on-chain actions? Let's just push the limits. And so the kitties were, obviously the mascot of the internet. So we merged the two. We're like, hey, let's launch a really fun project, toy project here at this event that's called ETHWaterloo. And then, if we don't win, it's fine. We'll move on. If we do, if something happens, then who knows? Maybe it'll be a big thing.
I think the best part of this was they were actually not even registered to be at the hackathon. They just walked in.
Yeah, we were
making a last-minute exception.
I remember Vitalik was doing like a presentation of ring signatures, and we were like out in the cold, like the last ones, and all the food was eaten already, and we're like, yo, can we come in? And then finally, Kartik and the team let us in. So I'm glad
it worked out for all of us, and the entire ecosystem benefited. Well, that originally sparked, of course, a lot of interesting things. I'm not going to ruin some of the points I was going to make because I actually want to have a more deeper conversation with Dieter later in the day about them. But what made you come up with 6551 as the next step? Like, why not extend 1155s? Or it already took us a long time to get people from ERC 721 to 1155. We're still not there yet. And there's a couple other standards too. Why introduce a new one, and what's the thinking behind this decision?
Yeah, so there's two answers here. One is 6551 is not a token standard. So you don't have to pick between 721, 1155, 6551. You use any platform, Manifold, the Third Web, Zora, mint an NFT, and automatically will have a token mount account. So it's more of a ERC standard rather than a token standard. The second answer is, from our roots of Dapper and now Future Primitive, it's always been about consumer experiences. It's always been about fun and how do we kind of teach people really complicated things, but allow them to have like a smile on their face, right? So for us, we kind of dove down this for the last year and a half, working with streetwear brands like Staple Pigeon, Jeff Staple, Billionaire Boys Club from Pharrell and Nigo. And we were launching like really weird NFTs. And we kind of arrived at this point where like, hey, we want to launch a collection that is digital fashion and it deals with characters or PFPs. And we want you to be able to change clothing as many times as you want on mainnet and not pay gas, but still on chain. And that eventually brewed up ERC 6551.
Amazing. So there's an interesting thing where you kind of said, hey, like liking is kind of the first version of this thing. You kind of buy, sell, and like. And 6551 was the third one. Tell us about what happened in the middle there and sort of what was the thinking around what the common use cases will be for the next step beyond just buying and selling?
Yeah, so there are 3 new actions you can take: become your NFT, use your NFT, interact. Over the last 6 years, obviously there's been many different projects that have explored different like utilities and all of that. But if you think about it, in order to add new utility to your NFT project, you need to hire a Solidity developer, or maybe you are one. You need to perform audits, and it starts to create a walled garden around the blue chip projects who made a lot of money. But if you're like a solo developer or not even a non-technical, you don't know how to add more things into your NFT, right? So I think it's really important that to think about 6551 is it actually levels up the entire playing field for all NFTs across the board. And for us, it's open source. We think it deserves the attention of the rest of the Ethereum community. And we already have a developer community of over close to 700 developers, all the way from OpenSea to Seaport to Gnosis Safe team to Gnosis Guild, and a bunch of people building blockchain games and all of that. And so it's been growing steadily since our initial launch at ETH Denver. So I think knowing that you can now become your NFT, as you witnessed here, you could change identities. I can now log in as my Azuki to OpenSea and commit trades. I can, put the bean inside of my Azuki. So you really start to create dimensionality. You create state for the NFT, which previously on EVM chains has not existed.
No, that's amazing. I think one of my favorite things about ETH Global events is that you kind of get a glimpse in the future a couple of years before it happens, and just seeing what could be possible with these autonomous, in a way, objects effectively is already mind-blowing. And you just showed one demo. I'm sure thousands of people will think about 1,000 other possibilities, and that's going to be amazing. So walk us through more around what the NPC setup looks like, what it actually lets you do, what you can and can't do, or how does it interface with things outside what the blockchain has.
The great thing with 6551 is because it uses existing infrastructure. So if you know how to paste an address and send something, transfer something, that's all you really need to know. If you know how to click connect wallet and you pick MetaMask, very soon you could pick an NFT that you own, right? So there isn't a lot of barriers here. As a NFT creator or an NFT owner, you don't have to do anything. It's already automatically applied. And so I think it's like something that's already here, regardless of we like it or not, but hopefully we like it. And it kind of now is a pivotal moment for us to start thinking like, oh, wow, NFTs can go deeper now. Like, what else can we do with it? We're faced with this huge problem right now that NFTs kind of reached this mark of like hyper speculation. I call it the blur effect, which kind of stirred this motion of like treating NFTs as commodities and sweeping and doing all these actions. And I think NFTs are all about art. It's about relationships. It's about membership into communities. And what we're doing here is actually taking that thesis 10 times and 100 times further, right? Where it's really going to be hard to assess an NFT that has all these things inside. Especially imagine if me and Kartik met and we shook hands and there was a Kapo app or there was like a soulbound token that went inside of one of our NFTs. Like it starts to add these relationships, these webs that are like tremendously valuable. And for the hyper speculators, they won't be able to, floor price won't be able to justify.
Subjective valuation is hard. And it's meaningful to the person, not somebody outside as a third party. And that's a really good concept because you effectively bring back the passion for why these things exist. And that is what art effectively is. How do you think this affects autonomous worlds? And maybe for people who are not aware of what they are, maybe a good intro to what autonomous worlds are would be also helpful.
Yeah, autonomous worlds are created by a team, the Lattice team. They had a collaboration with you guys using the mud.dev engine. And, I think autonomous worlds are the future because right now we've experienced this hyper VC investments into these metaverse categories that are like basically end up being like game servers that are run on AWS. And we had, the Lattice team, we think it's like we're like a yin and yang together because they're constructing the engine that you could create all these digital worlds that are, decentralized and not owned by a singular individual. And we see our job as populating those autonomous worlds, whether that is humans as us, or NPCs that we program, right? We're getting to a point, Dunbar's number, which is a number that's basically says every human could only have about 150 meaningful relationships in your entire life. We start to think about like how many objects can you own in your life, physical and digital, where you can have meaningful relationships right? And if NFTs are to explode, we're going to have millions of NFTs. There's no way we could have millions of relationships of all those digital objects, right? So our imagination is that maybe as a human, you have 3 to 5 digital objects or 10 that you really care about, and the rest are kind of right now sitting in a ledger doing nothing. But I think with the advent of AI and LLMs, you could actually set them loose into these autonomous worlds to perform on-chain actions on your behalf. And we think that's going to be a really, really interesting future.
I think the word I would use is crazy. It's insane in a good way. Maybe one last thing will be, you kind of talked about NPCs as an example. What else is also possible with this standard? Or things you would like to see in the wild? Maybe let's start with that list.
Yeah, I think it's going to change on-chain media. I think it's going to create new visualizations of relationships. I think as people form DAOs, right now the biggest problem with DAOs is like loyalty and reputation. How do you keep track of these things? Everything right now, if you think about it, sits on a single dimension, right? You have a MetaMask, and you have your soulbound tokens, your POAPs, your Zookies and stuff, and like they're all just one layer. Or if you have a lens profile, you have everything on one layer. It gets really, really messy. There is no relationship connecting any of those things, and let alone, like, we've gotten used to the idea of snapshotting and doing all these weird things of looking for the human that owns the NFT or the EOA, right? Now we're really like simplifying that every NFT has a wallet, could send things, you could operate as it. And I think the action potential element is underexplored, and that's kind of why we're here at this hackathon. Is like, who wants to kind of combine AI with token-bound accounts and NFTs and set them loose? You already saw one in action here, so that's what I think is going to push the space forward.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what people hack on the standard this weekend. And with that, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.